Rick Grimes has been at the heart of The Walking Dead ever since it first started, but his exit scene shares a huge similarity to his introduction in the pilot. Despite being the show's protagonist, Rick didn't make it all the way until the end, as Andrew Lincoln left The Walking Dead in Season 9. Although he eventually returned in early 2024 for The Ones Who Live spin-off, his breathtaking performance in What Comes After was his last time on the main series outside a short cameo in the Season 11 finale, making it an incredibly memorable episode. Watching Rick overcome the odds one final time and sacrifice himself for the group was a solid end to his journey, and while fans were happy he survived and eventually returned, his Season 9 departure remains a fitting tribute to the character. Not only is it a great reflection of his personality and leadership skills, but his final scene in the main show is one of Rick Grimes' best Walking Dead moments, as it has parallels to his debut. His opening and closing episodes may be drastically different, but they share one trick that helped make the character so iconic. Rick's opening and exit scenes in The Walking Dead both involved him surviving in miraculous circumstances. Rick overcame seemingly insurmountable odds in two of his most iconic scenes. Despite Rick's first and last Walking Dead scenes coming in completely different circumstances, they both involved him miraculously surviving terrible situations. The protagonist waking up from a coma and navigating an abandoned hospital helped set the tone for the franchise by instantly highlighting the horrors of the world. Rick's vulnerability and isolation amplified just how scary the apocalypse was, especially for someone who had no idea what was going on, but his chances of actually surviving must have been low. Waking up from the coma in the first place was a miracle given the lack of medical assistance for what must have been weeks. Additionally, managing to get back on his feet and make it to his hometown without anyone's help required some real luck and determination. The odds may have been stacked against him, but Rick overcame them and became one of The Walking Dead's most dangerous characters, which allowed him to repeat history. Having suffered plenty of injuries and near-death experiences throughout his time on the show, his final episode provided his biggest miracle yet. In an attempt to protect his community, Rick lured a horde away from his temporary settlement while riding on a horse, but after encountering another group of zombies, the animal got spooked before flipping the protagonist onto some debris. This resulted in him getting impaled, signaling the beginning of the end. Even though he managed to free himself and get back on the horse, he passed out, once again hinting at disaster. Still, Rick managed to avoid falling off even while unconscious and made it to a bridge, which he promptly blew up, somehow surviving the entire situation. Rick's opening and exit scenes reveal the most important part of his character in The Walking Dead. The protagonist's grit and determination is a defining part of his journey. Custom image of Rick Grimes in the hospital bed in The Walking Dead pilot and Rick from The Ones Who Live trailer. Surviving two scenarios that seemed like certain death defined Rick's character, as his grit and perseverance helped him beat the odds time and time again. After losing so many loved ones and facing off against cruel villains, it's no surprise Rick went through some dark arcs throughout The Walking Dead, but despite everything, he still remained an influential and trustworthy figure. His ability to bounce back from adversity and stand up against the show's biggest threats is a testament to his character, which is cemented through both his opening scene and his exit from the series. Whereas most people would never have woken up from the coma or been able to find the strength to make it home, Rick practically dragged himself to his neighborhood in an attempt to find his family. Likewise, fighting his way to the bridge and stopping the horde from reaching his loved ones proves how selfless he is and showcases his determination to protect the people he cares about. Although Rick has had some spectacular failures in The Walking Dead, he never let these moments define him, proving that he is the franchise's ultimate survivor. Rick's two The Walking Dead miracles are far from realistic. It would be near enough impossible to survive either situation. While Rick survives his opening and exit scenes, both scenarios are far from realistic. It's never explicitly stated how long Rick was in a coma or how far into the apocalypse he wakes up, but assuming zombies had been roaming around for several weeks, it seems unlikely Rick would survive. His bag would need to be refilled frequently, and while a web series did reveal that someone stayed behind to help, the doctor would have had to have been around just a few days prior to Rick waking up. Even if this did happen, getting home is a different story. Rick recovered from his coma much faster than would be expected and remarkably avoided any major zombie confrontations, but his exit scene is even less realistic. Having the strength to pull himself off the impaled object is one thing, but avoiding bleeding out or falling off his horse is another matter entirely. Despite Jadis rescuing him and taking him to the CRM, who presumably have expert doctors, surviving this injury in the way that he did doesn't seem likely, but these miracles are exactly why Rick's Walking Dead story is so compelling, and it's worth suspending belief for.